Hi everybody, it's Lisa Marie here. Hi my sweet lifers. Listen, we're going to be working today with some wreaths. I wanted to share with you my little secret. What I always try to do each year is I try to go into the old stuff and create new stuff and try to not buy stuff. And so it's interesting because I go to the store and I'll see all these gorgeous wreaths and they're like $100, $200, $400. They're expensive, guys. And so it's just really, really economical if you can do it to try to find your old ribbons, find your old stuff. You know, all of our husbands are probably saying throw that stuff away if it's broken, but the reality is that with a little glue gun and a wreath, all the little brokeny things can actually turn into some really beautiful things. And when they realize how much it costs to actually go buy it brand new, already done, not only is it not as much fun to make it, because you have, I mean, it's not as much fun to buy it because you can make it. Sorry about that. I got that wrong. It's really satisfying to be able to say, okay, listen, this is something that I've seen at the store, something really similar, and it was just expensive. And I was able to actually create it from the things that we were really not even going to use anymore or didn't think that we would. So what I've done is I've started to work on a couple of different wreaths because I've got two doors that I have to do the same because they face each other. I've got another set of two doors that face each other. And so I'm going to make two different kinds of wreaths that are going to match for that specific space on the outside of the house. The first thing is I've just gotten some of these. I had this in the attic, guys. I just got a regular, just greenery, just a green wreath. So, I mean, it's not, these are really cheap too. If you wanted to buy this, if this was the thing that you were going to go get, this is the thing to go get because these are like really, really, really inexpensive. It's when you get them with all the stuff put on them is when they get really expensive. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get that, and then I want you to decide kind of your design. For me, I've done, like I said, two different ones. I'm going to show you with this one what I'm doing for the other two doors. I've already started and finished the other for the other two doors so that you can see how they both look. Because this one is done in gold and it's done with the leopard, the consistency will be the leopard because y'all know me, and there's always animal print pretty much everywhere. But I didn't have enough gold. I only had this little bit left of the gold, and so I made the two wreaths with the gold, and then I found enough red. I think that'll work to make two more. And so I've just got, literally, you can see this has been used in years past. It's still crinkled up from whatever we used it on, maybe a tree, or I don't even know, it may have even been on a wreath before. But what I also like to do is try not to use too much glue, because if you can avoid using a lot of glue, then you can rip the stuff out and then you can redo your wreaths year to year. Because a lot of times, it's just a simple matter of just using the actual ends of the wreath to tie it down, and it'll hold it. It'll hold it out in the wind. It'll hold it out in the rain. So don't get crazy with your glue, because then you'll have more flexibility for the next year or the years. So what you do is you just come in here and take that one and fold it down like that, and then pull up a little bit so it makes sort of a little bow, and then put it down like that. And you just twist them, and then kind of try to keep the sparkly side facing up, and you're going to go all the way around your wreath just like that, literally just like that. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll actually finish one for you. I'll show you. Go all the way around the entire wreath with the first color. I like to use the solid first, because then I can interplay around it the actual animal print or whatever I'm using. I've got some ribbons with polka dots. I've got some ribbons with different stones and stuff on them. And so it just depends on what I'm using. But for these wreaths for outside, this actual wiry kind of mesh sparkle works well, and it weathers well. And, in Houston, we always have it 100 degrees sometimes on Christmas. So it's never anything we can be sure of in terms of what the weather's going to be. So I wouldn't use like velvet or something that's going to fade and be messed up if it got rained on. But this is really good ribbon for just pretty much all purpose. So you just come around, and like you see me doing, I'm just taking one of those here and there, and when you get to the end, just tuck it, because it doesn't matter. Then what I've got is I've got this leopard ribbon, and I've got a ton of it down here. I mean, literally, I've got a ton of it left over. This was in a garbage bag up in the attic with all of our decorations. And I always save it. And I know that from one year to the next, I'm going to use it somehow, some kind of way. There's a wire in this ribbon, and you definitely want wired ribbon because that gives you the ability to manipulate it. But I like to take the end and fold it down so that that wire doesn't stick me, and it also just looks neater whenever it's on the wreath, if it happens to show. Do the exact same thing that you did, but kind of go the opposite way, so that you've got sort of an interplay between the color and between the pattern. Bring that around, and then you can fluff as you go. You see how this is coming to the end on that one, so I'm just going to tuck it in and scrunch that greenery down on top of it to hold it in place. I've already folded that one down, so that one's ready to go. And just come in where you left off, so it looks like it appears to come from the same ribbon. I'm actually going to take this and go underneath. You can do that too, here and there if you want to. Intertwine your ribbons so that everything's not always with the animal print on top or whatever pattern it is that you're using. Naturally, you're going to find that you're going to have a top where you're going to put your main bow, and that's what always happens for me. So this is kind of the first step. Just make sure you've got your ribbon. And you see they're in there good. There's not anything that's going to bother that. As long as you've clamped them down really good, then they're easy to do. So that's the first step. The second step is you find a different ribbon. This is the key. You need 3 different kinds of ribbon. And what you want to do is you want to find something that coordinates. So, for example, with this one, because I did the gold and the leopard, I did a red bow. What I'll do with this one is probably a gold bow, just so that it's a little bit different. And I'm thinking about using this, so it's a little bit of a contrast. I haven't decided yet, but this is what I think I'm going to use because it really plays off the edges of that leopard ribbon there as well. So that's the first step. The second step is, once you've done that, just make a bow, right? And so, and then go in here and tuck in the edges so those little wires, or curl them up, tuck them in so they're not showing, and so they're going to help hold that bottom of that bow in place. And that's the second step. So go in and do that. And then the next thing is you've got to decorate it, right? You've got to figure out what to do. So with these, because I've got the red bow and I've got the interplay on that in terms of, like, I've got the gold and I've got sort of a neutral going on all the way around it, red balls make sense on this one. Because I've got the red on this one, probably the gold balls with the gold bow would look better on that one. I don't know if you think that's the case, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm kind of thinking the bow here and then the balls in there. So you can visualize what that's going to look like. So that's sort of how I do it. And then what you do is you get your hot glue gun, right? And you've got your top with your bow, so you know where your top and your bottom's going to be for this wreath. And I try to find in the balls bin with all the different ornaments, the ones that are faded, the ones that may be cracked or punched in the bottom, the ones that have lost their tops, that don't have the easy way to put it on the tree. Use the ones that you are going to have a harder time using on a tree first. If you don't have them, then just, pick them. But like that one's kind of broken and sticking out, so I can pull that off. There's a few that were in the bin that didn't have a top on it at all, which of course that's the perfect one to use. But anyway, grab the balls, and what you want to do is you'll get your hot glue gun and you'll take your ball, and with the side that you have that's normally going to be put on the tree, just put a little bit of glue, just a tad of glue. I've done like 3 or 4 squirts of glue. and you want to lay them in. And the trick here is do it where you've got odd numbers. So back in art school, they always said to use odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, depending on the size wreath that you have for your doors. Because a lot of times we have great big front doors, and so we need to do maybe 5 instead of 4 or 3. Not 4, but 3. And put them along the bottom. And I'll show you why in just a minute, because we're going to add in your final touch, which really makes it. So I kind of do it almost 1, 2, 3, just sort of boom, 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 because it's the base of what you've got as your accent on the top. So if you got red on the top, you got your accent red on the bottom, and it doesn't take that long to set up either. So you just 3 or 4 squirts and then just hold it for a minute. I like doing wreaths this way too because I don't get glue all over my nails and I don't burn my fingers. This is much easier. I'm cooking some stuff which I may put on the channel later. That's what you hear now, is that's telling me that it's ready to go to broil. I need to hold that just a little bit longer. Nope, that's good. Okay, the final step is find something sparkly. Now, you know, a lot of people don't think about this because this is for a candle. Or I used to actually use these and put them on the tops of newborn babies. Not this one because it's huge, but newborn babies' heads. I've used a lot of these little things for that. And I also would use them for toppers for trees. And I was going to show you, this is a little pick, right, that normally you would stick in a wreath or on the mantle in your display or even on your tablescape. But if you stick it in the top of the tree this direction and add some feathers and some curly ribbon, you've got the perfect little star for the top of your tree for way cheaper than you would have to go and buy something that's specifically made for that, right? So another just little tip and tidbit about that. You can find all kinds of these little things for $1, even at Walmart and different dollar stores. You can find this stuff really, really inexpensive. What you want to do is you want to find something sparkly, right? And so if you don't have anything that's already set as a pick, and I didn't, I had 2 of these from years back. And so what I did is I've decided to cut them. And so what I've done here is I've cut them into 3 parts. And I'll show you the finished one over here in a second. But I'm going to show you, get some wire cutters and just pull them apart, right? And get it kind of in 3 parts because you need to have, again, 3s. Like, or if you were doing 7 balls, I would do 5 of these. But keep everything in odd numbers. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to clip it here. I'm going to try to clip it there. Let's see. That's another clip. I think it did. Actually. Yeah. Need to clip it a little bit more. Okay. So you've got 1 and then there it goes. I want to be stubborn today. Here we go. Okay. So, then I do want to take a little bit of glue and put it on the edge of that piece of foo-foo. We can call it foo-foo or sparkles. And you want to tuck them in. So we tuck one in over here in the bottom and tuck it up underneath the ball so that it sticks out with all the sparkles over the ribbons. And then do another one over here. Go underneath the bow. Can hold it in place for a second. And we've got a little extra, so I'm going to put that one actually right there. And I could keep going. I mean, we could go in here and put, I'm going to put a little bit more glue right there. You could add more stuff if you wanted to. You could add feathers, and you could add beads, and you could add all kinds of stuff. But I like to keep it simple. I like to just go in and each, because I'm changing them out every single year. I'm just making sure that everything looks fresh every year. And so by me doing that, I don't want to spend, and there's a lot to do around here because we've got Santa Claus is here. We've got the home tour for you guys. We've got everything under the sun decorated, and it takes a long time. It takes usually 2 weeks for me to get the whole house done. So it's not something I'm going to spend 5 hours doing wreaths for the outdoors. I just want to get it done as fast as I can and get it done as cheap as I can. So this is the finished piece for this one that we just did together. Here's the matching piece that I did a little bit earlier here. And as you can see, they're pretty well matched. They don't have to be exactly the same, but I want the same materials to be used for each of them so that when somebody's driving up and they're in a certain part of the house, that they're actually cohesively looking like they don't look like they were like one was bought 1 year and one was bought 10 years ago or something like that. So anyway, well, I hope you guys have found some value in this. I hope there's been a few little tips and tidbits and something that you can actually share or maybe even do yourself. It really is very simple. It's not something that's hard to do at all. You just need to make sure that each year, whenever you get done with your decorations, you put everything away. Color coordinate everybody. Put all your reds in reds, put all your golds in golds, put all your greens in greens. And then when you go in and you're putting your trees together, not only are you able to be organized with that, but the other thing is you can see a little scrap of ribbon that you know you can't use for this year's tree or whatever you're doing, but you can think, oh, but I might be able to use that for a tiny tree topper, or I might be able to use that for a wreath, or whatever, a little basket or a bowl filled with ornaments and some ribbons sticking out. I mean, really, what's interesting about Christmas is that there's all these things that you can buy and there's all this money you can spend. But the reality is that just a little bit of sparkle here and there and a couple of balls in a bowl really makes a difference on a tabletop, and it's just cheap. So hopefully this has really helped you guys with that. And please stay tuned. Please be sure you stay tuned to the channel for some more stuff, because we've got the time lapse on the tree this year. We've got the holiday home tour coming up. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on with regards to the holidays. So anyway, if you did find some value, do me a favor, like and share. Don't forget to let me find my bell way back there. Ring that bell. And let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you would like for me to make, or if there's anything that you were thinking about that you didn't know how to make. Maybe I can figure out how to help you do that as well. I look forward to seeing you soon, and stay sweet. Take care.